My child, I see you. Before you even heard the sound of your own heartbeat, I knew you. Before pain touched your chest, before tears stained your pillow, before confusion clouded your thoughts, I was already there, watching, holding, waiting. You've been wondering if what you're going through means that I've forgotten you. You've cried in the quiet, and not even the closest person to you saw what I saw. They didn't hear the prayer hidden behind your silence, but I did. Because nothing escapes me, not even the unspoken things. I have come to tell you something holy, something your soul has been aching to hear. That pain you're feeling, that weight you've been carrying, that restless stirring inside you, it's not random, it's not a punishment, it's not the end, it's a sign, a sacred signal, a spiritual marker that I am moving now. Yes, even now. While everything around you may feel delayed, broken, or unfinished, I am working in a way your eyes cannot yet see. You may think your pain is a problem to be erased, but I tell you, it is a doorway, a portal to something eternal. Because I never waste pain. I use it to awaken, to realign, to remind you that I never stopped being your father, your defender, your redeemer. That aching in your chest is not an enemy, it's a callback to me, and you are hearing it now. Because I have drawn you here. You did not arrive at this video by coincidence. This isn't the result of an algorithm or a curious scroll. I set this moment in motion before the foundation of the world. I saw you, here now, needing this word, needing to remember that I, the Lord your God, am still near, still speaking, still holding your future, your story, your restoration. You are not too far gone. You are not forgotten in the crowd. You are not invisible to me. I know every cell in your body. I know every thought before it rises. And yes, I know how tired you've become, how long you've waited for a breakthrough. How often you've wondered if my silence was my absence. But listen closely. My silence is not rejection. It's preparation. I've been building something in the unseen, not just around you, but within you. This pain is not pointless. It is pressing you into purpose. It is breaking what cannot go with you into your next season. It is waking up the parts of your soul that forgot how to breathe. I am using this very moment to bring you back to the place where you hear me again. And now that you're here, stay with me, because I have something to reveal. I want to walk with you through 15 divine keys, not just words, but weapons, not just teachings, but truths that will break chains, restore joy, renew vision, and release direction. These are keys from my heart to yours, keys you've been unknowingly searching for in every corner of your life. And now they are ready to be placed in your hands. But before we go any further, pause. And do this. Write in the comments what I want to see rise in your spirit. Say it aloud with faith. Even in silence, I trust God's hand. Let the heavens record your trust today. Let your own heart witness what your lips declare. This is the beginning of your turning point. There will be a moment of prayer at the end of this message, and I want you to prepare for it, not by striving, but by surrendering. Let go of what you've tried to control. Bring me your questions, your shame, your dreams, your fears. I want it all, not to judge it, but to redeem it. There's a moment coming in this video where my spirit will draw near, and if you're open, I will touch you in the depths of your soul. And stay alert for the final key, because that last one, it holds something you didn't even know you needed. It's the key that will bring clarity where you've only had questions, and healing where you've only had waiting. It's not an ending. It's a beginning you've been crying out for, even if you didn't have the words. So stay with me until the end. Don't rush. Don't click away. What I'm doing is not fast food. It's a holy meal for your spirit. It's nourishment for the battle you've been facing, and rest for the questions you've been carrying. This is my invitation to you. Let me walk with you. Let me whisper into the corners of your life that you've tried to lock away. Let me be the voice that silences every lie. Let me be the fire that burns away what was never yours to carry. If you're still listening, it means your heart is ready. And if it's ready, then I will move, because I never ignore a soul that truly seeks me. I never turn away the broken. I never hide from the honest. Your scars don't scare me, they move me to act. Your confusion doesn't anger me, it invites my wisdom. Your weakness? It's where my strength shines brightest. So trust me now. Trust me enough to stay. Trust me enough to follow through each key. Trust me enough to believe that the pain you're feeling is not a wall. It's a womb, a place where something sacred is being formed. It will not end in death. It will not end in loss. It will end in resurrection. You've asked for a sign. You've begged for a word. This is both I am here, I am speaking, and I am moving right now. This is not just a video, it is an altar, and if you remain until the end, you will not leave the same. So if your heart is burning, if something inside you is trembling, don't run from it. That's my spirit awakening you. That's my hand reaching for yours. That's my voice reminding you, you are mine, and I am not done with your story. Are you ready to receive what I've been waiting to give? Then let's begin. Key 1. Surrender is the first door to my presence. You've been fighting, quietly, constantly. You've carried burdens in your heart that no one else could see. You've tried to hold everything together with a smile on your face and a storm inside your soul. And now you're tired. Not just physically, your spirit is weary. Your faith, though still alive, feels like a flame flickering in the wind. My child, I see you. I saw every step you took when no one clapped for you. I heard every prayer you whispered into the dark. I caught every tear that fell when you thought no one was watching. And now I'm calling you, not to perform, not to prove, not to pretend, but to surrender. You don't have to be strong for me. I am already strong for you. You don't have to have all the answers. I am the answer. What I desire is not your perfection. I want your heart. I want your honesty. I want you to fall into me, not run from me, because the first key to healing, to restoration, to the life I designed for you is surrender. Not the surrender of defeat, but the surrender of trust. That moment when you finally open your hands and say, God, I don't understand this, but I give it to you. That is where I begin to move. Let me take you back, long before your pain began, long before your questions were born. Let me take you to a garden, a place of sorrow and surrender. There, my son knelt in the night, his sweat becoming drops of blood. The weight of the world pressed on his shoulders, and still he chose the path that hurt the most. Why? Because of love. Because of you. Do you remember what he said in that moment of agony? Father, not my will, but yours be done. That is surrender. That is the key. That is the beginning of every resurrection. Without surrender, there is no cross. Without the cross, there is no empty grave. And without that grave being rolled away, there is no hope for the pain you're feeling right now. You've tried controlling everything. You've carried the stress of outcomes, of timing, of expectations. But control is a heavy god. It will never love you. It will never bring you peace. Only I can do that, and I can't bless what you refuse to release. Surrender is not weakness. It's alignment. It's when your heart, mind, and spirit finally bow to my greater wisdom. And in that bowing, there is peace. Peace you cannot manufacture. Peace that doesn't make sense in the storm, but wraps around your soul like a quiet river. Remember Moses. He was called to lead a nation, but he didn't feel ready. He didn't feel worthy. He argued with me. He resisted the call. But it wasn't until he surrendered, not only to my plan, but to my power, that he saw miracles, that he split seas, that he led people through the impossible. And you don't need to be Moses. You just need to trust me like he did. Maybe you've been standing in front of your own Red Sea. It looks impossible. You don't see a way forward. You're tempted to go back to what's familiar, even if it's broken. But I'm telling you, I split seas for surrendered hearts. I make a way where there is none. But you must stop trying to be your own savior. I already sent one. I want to show you something deeper than success. I want to lead you into peace that doesn't shake. I want to anchor your soul, not in circumstances, but in my presence. And my presence comes rushing into surrendered spaces. That's why this key matters. Without it, you'll keep fighting battles that aren't yours to fight. You'll keep holding weights I never asked you to carry. But when you surrender, when you truly say, "Here it is, Lord, I give it all to you," then I step in. And I don't come empty-handed. I come with healing for your wounds. I come with clarity for your confusion. I come with comfort for your sorrow. I come with power for your weakness. I come with grace that will rewrite the story you thought was over. So tell me, what are you holding that you were never meant to carry? Is it the pressure to fix everyone? The fear that I won't show up? The shame of something you've buried for years? Let it go, my child. Let it fall into my hands. I can carry what you can't. I can redeem what you've ruined. I can restore what looks beyond repair. But I need your surrender, not your strategy. This moment, right now, could be the turning point. Not because your situation will magically change, but because your heart will. You'll no longer be living in your own strength. You'll begin living in mine. I want you to pause and say it now, not with fear, but with faith. God, I surrender everything into your hands. Say it again if you need to. Let your heart follow the words. Let the walls come down. And if this truth is stirring something in you, if it feels like a weight is being lifted, then you're not imagining it. That's my spirit moving. That's what surrender does. It unlocks the atmosphere for my presence to flood in. I didn't bring you this far to leave you. I didn't let you walk through fire to abandon you in the smoke. I've been refining you, preparing you, drawing you closer, not to punish you, but to pour into you something eternal. There are doors that only open from the inside. Your surrender is the key. And I promise you, when you surrender, I won't meet you with condemnation. I will meet you with open arms, with mercy that rewrites shame, with power that quiets fear, with love that will not let go. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not too late. You are not disqualified. You are mine, and everything I have, I am willing to give you. But I cannot pour into hands that won't open. So open them now, even if they shake, even if they're tired. Open them and let me fill you. This is only the first key, and already I am doing a new thing. But there is more. Much more. Stay with me. There are other parts of your life, your heart, your thoughts, your past, that I want to touch. This journey is not about information. It's about transformation. You are not walking alone. You are walking with me. And now, before we move to the next key, I ask you this. What would your life look like if you truly let go? What miracles are waiting on the other side of your surrender? You don't have to answer right now. Just hold that question close. Because the next key I'm about to give you will teach you how to hear my voice in the chaos. And that could change everything. Key 2. My voice can still be heard in the chaos. You've been surrounded by noise. Not always loud, but constant. The noise of fear whispering lies, the static of worry clouding your mind, the endless barrage of voices, your own, others, the world's, all competing for attention, leaving you unsure of what is true. And in the middle of all this, you've silently wondered, God, are you still speaking to me? Yes, my child, I am still speaking, and I have never stopped. But my voice is not like the noise that surrounds you. I don't shout to compete. I whisper to draw you close. I speak not to overwhelm you, but to still you. I am not absent in the chaos. I am present in it. I am not hidden behind the storm. I am walking on its waters. And if you listen, not with your ears, but with your spirit, you will hear me. Even here, even now, you think you need peace before you can hear me, but it is my voice that brings peace. You think you need clarity before you can move forward, but it is my word that lights the path. The world demands certainty. I invite trust. In the days of old, I spoke to Elijah, my servant. He too was surrounded by chaos. Fear gripped his heart. His enemies hunted him. He was tired, hiding in a cave, convinced that he was alone. Maybe that's how you felt, cornered, confused, tired of holding everything together. But in that cave, I asked him a question I now ask you. What are you doing here? Not because I didn't know the answer, but because I wanted his heart to remember who I was. Then came the wind, violent and crushing. But I was not in the wind. Then came an earthquake, shaking the foundations, but I was not in the earthquake. Then came a fire, raging and consuming, but I was not in the fire. Finally, a still small voice, a whisper, and in that whisper, Elijah heard me. I didn't come in the storm. I came in the stillness, because I don't need chaos to prove my power. I need silence to reveal my presence. And so I ask you now, when was the last time you sat still long enough to hear me? Not just read about me, not just sing to me, but wait for me. You don't need a perfect environment to hear my voice. You don't need a mountain or a miracle. You need stillness on the inside. You need trust that I am not silent because I'm distant. I am quiet because I am drawing you deeper. I want you to learn how to hear me in the noise, because when you do, the noise will no longer control you. My voice is not always a sentence. Sometimes it's a feeling, a nudge, a sudden peace in the middle of panic, a verse that jumps out at you, a thought that echoes with my kindness, a moment of clarity that silences confusion. I speak in many ways, but you must lean in to listen. You must believe that I am still a speaking God, not just in history, not just in others' stories, but in yours. You don't have to strive to hear me. You were created to. My sheep know my voice. You've just forgotten what it sounds like beneath the pressure. So I'm calling you back to the quiet, to the still place where my spirit can meet your soul again. You've been running to voices that don't know your future. You've been measuring your life by opinions that don't carry eternity. Come back to me. Let me speak to the deepest part of you, not to flatter you, but to anchor you, not to confirm your fears, but to dismantle them. Let me show you what my voice can do. When I speak, darkness trembles. When I speak, creation obeys. When I speak, the dead rise. When I speak, demons flee. And when I speak to you, chains break inside you that no one else could ever see. One word from me can change everything. One whisper can redirect your entire life. But I need you to turn down the volume of everything else. The comparison, the fear, the expectations, the doubt. Turn them down so I can turn my voice up. And here's the truth. I've been speaking to you in ways you didn't recognize. I spoke through that closed door, not to punish you, but to protect you. I spoke through that delayed answer, not to ignore you, but to prepare you. I spoke through the discomfort, not to harm you, but to grow you. My voice has been guiding you, even when you thought you were lost. And if you let me, I'll continue to guide you, not with confusion, but with clarity, not with noise, but with intimacy. I want you to begin practicing stillness. You don't need hours, you need honesty. Just moments where your heart opens and your spirit says, "Speak, Lord, I'm listening." That's where it begins. That's where my voice gets louder than your fear. That's where confusion starts to unravel. That's where you will remember who you are, because you will hear me remind you who I am. I want you to write something in the comments, not because I need it, but because your heart does. Declare this with boldness. Lord, I choose to listen for your voice above all others. Let that be the posture of your spirit today. Let it echo into the atmosphere. I know there are many things shouting at you, but my whisper is stronger than the world's screams, and it's calling you home, calling you back to trust, back to clarity, back to the presence that your heart was designed to live in. And don't forget, you're not alone in this journey. There are thousands just like you who are rediscovering the voice of their Father. You belong to something greater. This is not a solo walk, it's a kingdom movement. I know the road has been loud. I know your thoughts have raced, but I'm giving you a new rhythm now, a pace of peace, a melody of grace, a stillness that doesn't paralyze, it empowers. So when the next storm comes, and it will, remember Elijah. Remember that I'm not just in the fire, the wind, or the earthquake. I'm in the whisper, the quiet place where you and I meet, and everything changes. Stay with me. There's another key coming. And it's one that will teach you what to do when it feels like I've gone silent, when heaven seems still and your heart starts to panic. But until then, practice the stillness. It's there, in that sacred pause, that you will find me waiting. Key 3. When heaven is silent, I am still working. There have been seasons when you felt like your prayers evaporated into the air. You spoke, you wept, you waited, but the silence was heavy, almost unbearable. You questioned if I heard you. You wondered if I had turned away, and in the stillness, your heart whispered what your lips were too afraid to speak. God, where are you? I was there, even when I didn't answer in the way you hoped, even when the door didn't open, even when the healing didn't come right away, even when you stood in the middle of the delay with trembling hands and a heart full of longing. I was there. You see, silence is not absence. My child, I never leave. I never sleep. I never look away from you. My silence is not my abandonment. It is my sovereignty at work. It is a space I sometimes create, not to wound you, but to strengthen you, to stretch your faith, to prepare you for what's next. If I answered every cry the moment you spoke, you might receive the blessing, but miss the transformation. You long for outcomes, but I long for intimacy. I'm not just trying to change your situation, I'm reshaping your heart, and that happens best in the silence. Think of Joseph, betrayed and thrown into a pit, sold, forgotten, imprisoned. Year after year went by, and I did not speak, not the way he expected. But every day I was writing a story bigger than his pain. In the silence, I was building a leader. In the darkness, I was preparing the light, and when the time was right, I lifted him. Not a moment too early, not a moment too late. That's what I'm doing with you. You've asked me, why haven't you spoken? But my child, I have. In every delay I spoke patience. In every closed door I spoke redirection. In every quiet day I spoke growth. You were waiting for a voice, but I was giving you vision. Some of the greatest things I will ever do in your life will come through seasons when I seem silent, because it's in that silence that your roots grow deeper, and I care more about your roots than your results, because shallow roots cannot sustain divine promises. But deep roots, those that form in the dry places, those are the ones that make you unshakable. I know the silence has hurt. I know you've battled doubt, but do you really think I brought you this far just to leave you now? My promises are not fragile. My plans are not forgotten. I don't start what I don't intend to finish. Even when you hear nothing, I am building everything. I'm teaching you to walk by faith and not by feelings, to believe when there's no confirmation, to hope when there's no sign. That's not blindness, that's trust. And trust is the currency of my kingdom. You think I'm silent, but really, I'm speaking louder than ever. You just need to listen with your spirit, not your ears. Open your heart to me again. even if you're tired. Open your mouth and worship even when you don't feel it. Lift your eyes, not because the answers have come, but because your soul remembers who your Father is. You are not forgotten. You are not ignored. You are not unseen. You are held in my hands. Hands that carved mountains, calmed seas, and still hold every detail of your life with precision and love. I want you to say something today. I want you to declare it, not because you see the answers, but because you trust the author. Write it in the comments if you're ready. Even when I hear nothing, I trust that God is working. Let that be your anthem, your declaration, your act of faith. Because the truth is, I do some of my greatest work in silence. Think of the seed buried underground. No sound, no spotlight, no applause, but something holy is happening in that darkness. Roots are forming, foundations are being laid, and one day it breaks the soil. The fruit is seen, but the depth was formed in the hidden. That is what I'm doing with you. The world may not see it yet. You may not even see it, but heaven does. I am building you. There will come a moment when the silence breaks, when the breakthrough comes, when the answer arrives, and in that moment you will understand that every second of silence was sacred. And when you stand in the light of answered prayers, you'll look back on this silent season with gratitude, not because it was easy, but because it made you strong. Stay with me. I am not finished. I'm teaching you something that will sustain you for the rest of your life, how to stand in the quiet and still believe. That kind of faith, it moves mountains. That kind of faith, it silences fear. That kind of faith, it prepares you for the glory to come. So hold fast, even when nothing makes sense. Worship louder when the answers grow quieter. Trust deeper when the way seems hidden. Because in the silence, I am singing over you. I am orchestrating details. I'm shifting things behind the curtain. And when I unveil the masterpiece, you will know it was worth every tear. The next key I want to give you will unlock the courage to wait without giving up, to hope again, to dream again, to stand up, not in your own strength, but in mine. But first, breathe. You've made it through 3 keys, and something inside you is already beginning to shift. You're not the same as when you started. There's more peace now, more clarity, even in the quiet. And that, my child, is the beginning of the miracle. Key 4. Your identity is not in what you've lost, but in who you belong to. There's something I want you to understand with all the weight and tenderness of heaven. You are not defined by what was taken from you, not by the person who left, not by the door that closed, not by the opportunity that slipped through your fingers, not by the years you feel were wasted or the moments that broke your heart. You have been carrying loss as if it wrote your name, as if it authored your value. But I'm here to remind you, nothing that was taken can erase what I have spoken over you. You belong to me, and when you belong to me, your identity is secured, not in circumstance, not in reputation, not in success, and certainly not in failure. Your identity is rooted in my eternal love, and no loss in this world has the authority to redefine what I created with my own hands. You've wept over what left. You've mourned over what ended. You've looked in the mirror and struggled to recognize the person staring back, wondering if you'll ever feel whole again. But I never stopped seeing the real you, the one I knit together in your mother's womb, the one I called beloved before you ever took your first breath, the one I chose, not because of what you could offer me, but because I already loved you with a love that cannot be earned or undone. Your story didn't end when they walked away. Your worth didn't vanish when the plan failed. Your calling didn't get cancelled when the season changed. I don't define you by the chapter you're in. I define you by the story I wrote before the foundation of the world. And I never write endings without purpose. What feels like a full stop to you might just be a comma in my hands. Come back to me now, not in fear, but in boldness. Let me speak to the part of you that still grieves the loss. Let me hold the version of you that still believes you are broken beyond repair, because what you've lost is real, but who you are is eternal. I want to show you someone in my word, a man named Job. You've heard his story, but perhaps not like this. He was righteous, he was faithful, he was blessed, but in one cruel, devastating sequence, everything was stripped from him, his wealth, his health, his children, his dignity. He sat in ashes, surrounded by silence and shame. Even his closest friends misunderstood him. They thought surely he had failed, that surely my favor had departed from him. But what they could not see was the restoration I was preparing. What they did not understand was that I had not abandoned Job. I was deepening him. I was revealing a faith that wasn't based on blessings, but on identity. And when the time was right, not a moment too soon, not a moment too late, I restored him, not just with what he lost, but with double. I did not return him to who he was before. I made him stronger, wiser, steadier, because he never stopped belonging to me. And you are no less than Job in my eyes. You are no less loved, no less seen, and no less destined for restoration. But you must stop attaching your worth to what has been taken. I never asked you to measure your identity by what you can hold in your hands. I asked you to rest in who holds you, and that is me. Say this with me now, if your spirit is ready. My identity is not in my pain, but in my Father. Write it, declare it, let your heart believe it. Because there's a freedom I want to bring into your soul. A freedom that only comes when you let me name you again. You are not rejected. You are not too late. You are not too much. You are not forgotten. You are mine. And I don't need you to fix everything that broke. I need you to believe that I can redeem it all. I can take the ashes of your loss and make something beautiful. But first, you must release the lie that what you lost is more powerful than who you are in me. You are not just a product of your past, you are a child of the promise. You are not just a survivor of pain, you are a carrier of my purpose. You are not just someone trying to rebuild, you are someone I am remaking from the inside out in the fire of my love. So let the grief come, if it needs to, let the tears fall. But don't stay in the ashes. Let me lift you. Let me rename you. You are chosen. You are appointed. You are being prepared for something greater than what you've lost. There are things ahead that would not have been possible had you not walked through this fire. You may not see it yet, but one day you will thank me. Not for the pain, but for what I produced through it. Stay with me, child. We're not finished. There's another key coming, and it holds the power to rebuild what the enemy tried to destroy. It's about learning how to dream again, even after disappointment. It's about trusting that your future is not behind you. It's still unfolding, and I will be there, just as I am now. Key 5. My timing is perfect, even when your heart feels late. You've been looking at the clock, not the one on the wall, but the one inside your soul, the one that measures seasons, milestones, dreams. You've been whispering to yourself, I thought I'd be further by now. And though you rarely say it out loud, the weight of delay has made you question everything. Your path, your worth, even my presence. You've compared your journey to others, watched as doors opened for them while yours stayed shut. You celebrated them with one hand and wiped your silent tears with the other. You've tried to stay hopeful, but time feels like a thief. It feels like you've missed something, like life passed you by while you were trying your best just to survive. But hear me clearly now, child. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are exactly where I need you to be for what I'm preparing next. I don't measure your life with deadlines. I shape it with design. You live by clocks, but I operate through eternity. What feels slow to you is sacred to me. What seems like delay is often protection or preparation. And when you trust my timing, even when it breaks your expectations, you'll begin to see that I've never wasted a single second of your life. Let me show you. Look at Abraham. I gave him a promise, one that seemed too beautiful to believe, that he would be the father of nations. But years passed, decades, and still no son. Can you imagine the ache, the questions, the nights spent staring at stars, wondering if I had changed my mind? And yet, I had not. I was not late. I was building faith in him that could outlast the storms. I was preparing his heart to carry a legacy, not just a blessing. And when the time came, not when Abraham thought it should happen, but when I knew it was right, I fulfilled every word I spoke. Isaac was born, the promise breathed, and I will do the same for you. The dream is not dead, it's maturing. The calling is not forgotten, it's deepening. The answer is not denied, it's being refined. Because anything built without my timing may be fast, but it won't last. But when I open a door, no one can shut it. When I bring something into your life, it comes to stay, not to tease or torment, but to fulfill. I am not a God of confusion. I am not cruel. I don't dangle promises to frustrate you. I speak them because I intend to keep them. But I won't give you something that you're not ready to carry, because I love you too much, because I see what you can't. I see tomorrow and the next decade and the generations after you. I see the ripple effect of every yes, every no, every wait. And when I tell you not yet, it's not rejection, it's redirection. So don't let the ticking of the clock drown out the truth of my word. You are not too old. You are not too late. You have not missed your moment. You are on a holy timeline, one written by hands that are never rushed and never wrong. I want you to breathe this in now. Let it wash over your worry. God's timing is perfect, and I trust him with mine. Write it in the comments. Declare it. Let your spirit rise with that truth, because trust in my timing is trust in my nature. If you believe that I am good, then you must also believe that I know when is just as important as what. I see the full picture. You only see the frame. Sometimes the delay is the very thing that protects you from disaster. Sometimes the pause is where I hide your soul from premature battles. You may feel ready, but I know the terrain ahead. And if you could see what I see, you would thank me for every not yet. There are relationships I closed that you wanted to force open, but they would have broken you. There were paths you prayed for that would have led you away from me. There were moments you thought you missed, but they were only detours away from what was too small for your destiny. My ways are higher. My vision is clearer. My love is wiser, and I'm always on time. But you must let go of your calendar and hold on to my character. That's where peace lives, not in knowing when, but in knowing who. Wait on me, not passively, not in despair, but with expectation, with stillness that breathes strength, with the kind of hope that says, even if it takes longer than I imagined, I believe it will be better than I planned. Because when I do it, child, it won't be small, it won't be average. It won't be rushed, it will be divine. And when others ask, how did this happen? You'll smile not in pride, but in reverence, and say, it happened because I waited on the Lord. Stay with me now. You've come this far, and your spirit is beginning to align with heaven's rhythm. You're learning to breathe slower, to trust deeper, to rest, even when the answer hasn't arrived. And the next key I will give you, it will teach you how to walk with me while you wait. Not just how to survive it, but how to thrive in it. Because the wait is not empty. It is full of wonders if your eyes are open. I am still the God who moves suddenly. But even more, I am the God who prepares thoroughly, and I am preparing you. Key 6. There is strength in the waiting. I am training you in the quiet. My child, I know how hard it has been to wait. I know what it has cost you. the restless nights, the buried dreams, the hope that flickers like a fragile flame in the wind. You don't always say it aloud, but deep inside you've asked me, Lord, why is it taking so long? And if you're honest, sometimes that question comes with a quiet ache. Did I do something wrong? Let me answer you now, not with judgment, but with love. No, you didn't do something wrong. You didn't miss the door. You're not being punished. What you are experiencing is not a delay of punishment, but a delay of preparation. I'm not withholding good from you. I'm preparing you for the good I've already planned. The wait is not empty. The wait is not punishment. The wait is training. In the waiting, I'm building in you what you cannot build on your own. I'm stretching your spiritual muscles, strengthening your foundation, quieting your soul, and making room in your life and in your heart for what's coming. You've been asking me for the promise, but I'm asking you to embrace the process. Because what I'm preparing for you is not small, and what I'm doing in you is not shallow. I'm forming a vessel strong enough to hold my glory, not just a moment of blessing, but a lifestyle of walking with me in authority, peace, and purpose. The world says, if it's delayed, it's dead. But I say, if it's delayed, it's being developed. Look at David, a young shepherd anointed to be king. The oil poured on his head and the calling was clear. But the throne didn't come overnight. No, before the crown came the cave. Before the palace came the wilderness. Before the applause came the solitude. He waited, not passively but purposefully. He worshipped in the fields. He fought lions and bears. He learned to hear my voice in the hidden place. And when the time came for him to lead a nation, he was ready, not just because of the anointing, but because of the waiting. And I am doing the same with you. I know you want to move quickly. I know the waiting tests your faith. But you must understand, there are things that speed cannot produce. Only waiting births depth. Only patience reveals roots. Only stillness exposes what's been hidden and heals it. In the wait, I'm revealing the parts of your heart that still struggle to trust me. Not to shame you, but to love you deeper. I want nothing between us, and often it's the pause that surfaces the pain, the doubts, the hidden fears you've been carrying. Not so I can punish you, but so I can free you. You've been trying to hold it together. You've told yourself, I just need to stay strong. But I say to you, you don't need to be strong. You need to stay surrendered. Let me be your strength. Let me train you in this place. Let me show you that waiting is not weakness. It is worship. It is warfare. It is wisdom. When you wait on me, you are choosing to trust my pace instead of the pressure. You are choosing to let go of the world's timeline and anchor yourself in heaven's rhythm. Do you remember the eagle? It doesn't flap wildly to soar. It waits. It watches. It stretches its wings and trusts the current of the wind. That's what I want from you, to stop striving, to stop forcing, to stop measuring yourself by what hasn't happened yet, and start resting in my presence right where you are, because this season of waiting is not wasted. It is sacred. I know you don't always see it. But one day you will look back and realize the waiting didn't slow you down. It saved you. It protected you from premature battles. It kept you from settling for what was less than my best. It forced you to dig deep into my word. It taught you to walk by faith, not by sight. It made you still enough to hear my whisper, clear enough to recognize my voice, and strong enough to carry the mantle I've placed on your life. And when the breakthrough comes, and it will, you'll step into it not with desperation, but with discernment. You'll walk in not as a beggar, but as a son, as a daughter, as someone who has been formed in the fire and refined in the hidden place. So don't run from the wait. Don't curse the pause. Learn from it. Let it shape you. There is strength in stillness, power in patience. There are secrets in this quiet place that I only share with those who choose to stay. I want you to say something now, not because you feel it, but because your faith is growing. Write it in the comments if your heart is ready. I trust what God is building in me while I wait. Let that declaration sink deep, because it's true. The world may not see it yet, but I do. I see the character being forged. I see the roots going deep. I see the foundation being strengthened. And I promise you, when the day of fulfillment arrives, you will look back and bless the wait. Not because it was easy, but because it made you ready. You've wondered if you missed your moment. You've questioned if the promise expired. But I say to you now, the promise is alive, and so are you. Every breath you take is proof that the story is still unfolding. Don't give up. Don't settle. Don't assume that slow means no. Sometimes slow means solid. Sometimes waiting is how I align every detail. Not just in you, but around you. There are people being prepared for your arrival. There are doors being positioned for your step. There are miracles forming in the unseen, waiting for the appointed time. And I know exactly when that time will be, because I am not only the author of your story, I am the finisher. And I finish what I begin. So stay faithful in the small things. Show up with your heart open. Pray even when it feels dry. Praise even when it feels delayed. Serve even when it's unseen. Because in these hidden moments, I am training you for the stage you haven't yet seen. And when I raise you up, when I release the blessing, it will not be fragile. It will not be rushed. It will be rooted in my word, rooted in character, rooted in intimacy with me. That's the kind of life that bears fruit in every season. That's the kind of vessel I am forming now, in the waiting. So if your soul is still asking, why does it take so long? Hear me again, because I'm not just giving you something, I'm making you into someone who can carry blessing with humility, someone who can lead others with wisdom, someone who can stand in any season, not swayed by success or crushed by failure, someone who knows me not just in the miracle, but in the middle. Stay with me. The next key I'll give you will teach you how to recognize divine doors when they appear, and how to walk through them without fear. Because what's coming will require boldness, not hesitation. And I'm going to prepare you for it. One moment of quiet obedience at a time. Key 7. Not every door is mine, but when I open one, walk through it with courage. My child, there will come a moment when the silence lifts, when the long sacred waiting gives way to a holy invitation. A door will open. And when it does, you must be ready, not just to recognize it, but to walk through it without fear. Because not every door that opens is from me, and not every door that remains closed is rejection. You must learn to discern. You must allow me to guide your steps, so you do not run into what looks promising, but is actually a trap. I have not called you to a life of confusion, but of clarity. And clarity comes from communion. Daily, humble, surrendered communion with me. It doesn't come from rushing. It doesn't come from your logic alone. It comes from the stillness we've built together. That is why the last key, the strength of waiting, was so important. Because in the stillness, your spiritual senses sharpen. And now, as doors begin to appear before you, I will teach you how to know which ones carry my fingerprint and which ones only carry distraction. Let's begin with this truth. Not every opportunity is divine. Not every open path is provision. Not every invitation leads to your purpose. There is a way that seems right to man, but its end is destruction. The enemy can open doors too, doors of hurry, doors of flattery, doors that appeal to your ego instead of your calling. He knows how to mimic light. He knows how to present a counterfeit just before the real blessing arrives. Because if he can get you to step into a good thing too soon, he may keep you from the God thing I had prepared all along. You see, my child, what is from me will not demand you to betray who you are becoming. It will not require you to lose peace, abandon purpose, or compromise your soul. What I open will never rush you out of my presence. It will invite you deeper into it. But I also know the fear you carry when new doors appear. Fear of choosing wrongly, fear of missing me, fear of stepping into something too big or too uncertain. So let me settle that fear now. If you stay near to me, I will make the right door undeniable. I am not a God of confusion. I do not speak in riddles to hide truth from those who seek me in spirit and in truth. If I am leading you, the door will come with peace, not always comfort, but peace, a quiet assurance in your spirit, even if your surroundings still feel uncertain. That peace is your compass. That peace is your permission. And where my peace leads, my provision follows. Do you remember Nehemiah? He wasn't a prophet, he wasn't a king, he was a cupbearer, a servant. But when I placed a burden in his heart to rebuild Jerusalem's walls, doors began to open. Unexpected favor, access to the king, resources from unexpected places. It didn't make sense in the natural, but it was me. And when the door opened, Nehemiah didn't hesitate. He walked through it, prayerfully, courageously, and with his eyes fixed on me. That is how I want you to move, with courage rooted in communion, because here is what I see, that you often don't. You are more prepared than you think you are. I have been shaping you in the silence. I have been training your heart, stretching your faith, refining your voice, anchoring your character. And now, as the season begins to shift, I do not want hesitation to hold you back from the promise. When I open the door, walk through it with holy boldness. Don't shrink. Don't second guess. Don't let the ghosts of your past or the fear of your limitations convince you that you are not ready. I do not open doors for the perfect. I open them for the prepared. And you, my child, are being prepared. Not in crowds, but in caves. Not in platforms, but in private obedience. Every yes you gave me in secret was building something eternal, and now I'm calling you into it. You don't need the approval of others. You need my voice. You don't need to see the full picture. You need my presence. You don't need to have everything figured out. You need faith to take the next step, and I will meet you there. I want you to declare this with your heart and your mouth. If you're ready, write it in the comments and let the atmosphere hear your surrender. When God opens the door, I will walk through it with courage. Yes, even if your legs shake, even if your voice trembles, even if you don't know what's on the other side yet. Because when you walk through a door I opened, you are not walking alone. I go before you, I stand behind you, I walk beside you. You are never alone when you walk in obedience. But hear me on this too, not every closed door is an attack. Some doors close because I shut them, and that is mercy, that is protection, that is redirection. You've cried over doors I had to close, relationships, opportunities, places you wanted to stay. But if you could see what I was shielding you from, you would fall to your knees in thanks. Trust me. If I close it, I'm saving you. If I open it, I'm sending you. What I open, no man can shut. What I shut, no man can open. Your job is not to pry doors open. Your job is to follow my voice. There will be moments when the right door won't look like success. It may look like sacrifice. It may be smaller than what you imagined. But don't despise small beginnings, because inside them live great destinies. I'm more interested in your surrender than in your spotlight. I don't measure success the way the world does. I measure it by obedience. And if you say yes to me, to the door I open, no matter what it looks like, I will do more with your surrender than you could ever do with your strategy. Walk with me. Let me show you the path. I've already gone ahead of you. I've lined the way with grace. I've prepared encounters, provision, wisdom, and strength. I'm not calling you into the unknown to leave you exposed. I'm calling you into the unfamiliar so that you can see how faithful I truly am. You asked me for purpose. You asked me for direction. Now I'm leading you toward it. But you must let go of what was to embrace what is. Some doors will require you to leave the past behind, to step out of old mindsets, old relationships, old fears. That's part of the walk. That's part of the transformation. Don't bring Egypt with you into the promised land. Don't bring old chains into new seasons. Let them fall. There's freedom on the other side of obedience. There's clarity on the other side of trust. There's destiny on the other side of surrender. You don't have to know every detail. You just have to follow my lead. And when the door swings open, when the confirmation settles into your soul, don't delay. Walk, not in fear, but in faith. Not in pride, but in purpose. Not to prove anything, but to partner with what I'm doing in you and through you. Stay close to me. That's how you'll know what's truly mine. Ask me for confirmation, I will give it. Ask me for clarity, I will supply it. Ask me for peace, and I will cover you with it. Because I want you to walk through the right doors with boldness, not baggage. So take this key, the ability to discern. Let it guide you in the days ahead. Not everything will be easy, but everything I lead you to will be eternal. That's the difference. And the next key, it will teach you how to walk in the authority I've placed inside you, not just how to receive my promises, but how to carry them with confidence. You're not a spectator in the kingdom, you're a vessel of glory, and it's time you begin to walk like it. Key 8, I have given you authority. It's time to walk in it. My child, there is something I want you to understand today, not as information, but as transformation. You are not weak. You are not helpless. You are not a victim of your circumstances or a prisoner to your past. You are mine, and I have placed my authority within you. It's time you begin to walk like it. Too often you have seen yourself only through the lens of what life has done to you, the pain you've felt, the losses you've endured, the betrayal you suffered, the doubt that crept in quietly and stayed longer than you expected. These things have tried to write your identity, but they do not have that right. Only I do. And I say to you today, you are not just surviving, you are being equipped. You are not just being rescued, you are being commissioned. You are not just someone I healed, you are someone I'm sending, because I did not just save you to keep you safe. I saved you so that you would stand in authority. My Son did not shed his blood simply to cleanse you, although he did. He bled so that you could be restored to the dominion I gave you in the beginning. The same dominion that was lost in the garden has now been returned through the cross. That authority belongs to you, not because you earned it, but because you inherited it. You are a co-heir with Christ, a temple of my spirit, a citizen of heaven. You are seated with me in heavenly places. And yet, you've been living like a beggar outside the gates, waiting for scraps of breakthrough, when I've already given you access to the feast. Do you see it now? You've been praying for me to move, and I have. I moved when the stone rolled away. I moved when the Spirit descended like fire. I moved when I placed resurrection power inside of you. And now, I'm waiting for you to move, to speak with boldness, to resist the enemy, to declare my truth over your situation. To take up your sword and remember that the ground you're standing on is already blood-bought and victory-sealed. I know you still feel fear. I know you don't always feel worthy, but spiritual authority is not about your feelings. It's about your position in me, and you don't need to wait until you feel powerful to start walking in what I've already promised. Let me take you back to a moment in my word. One that you've read before, but maybe never fully realized was also written about you. Do you remember Peter? He was bold but broken, quick to speak, slow to understand. He denied my Son when fear pressed in. And yet, when Jesus restored him, not with condemnation, but with compassion, he gave Peter a key. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. That wasn't just for Peter. That was for every believer who would rise from brokenness into boldness. That was for you. You've been crying out, Lord, please change this. And I am saying, speak, declare, stand, rebuke, bind, loose. Stop waiting for someone else to fight your battles when I've given you every weapon you need. You are not empty-handed. You are clothed in armor, the breastplate of righteousness, the belt of truth, the helmet of salvation, the sword of the Spirit, my word, and above all, faith, a shield that extinguishes every dart of fear, doubt, and darkness. I want you to begin walking through your life, not just as someone enduring hardship, but as someone enforcing victory. The same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead is alive inside you. That is not a metaphor. That is a reality. And it is time for you to believe it. When anxiety tries to rule your mind, you command it to flee. When darkness whispers lies over your identity, you silence it with my truth. When the enemy comes to steal peace from your home, you remind him whose house this belongs to. You don't belong to this world. You don't bow to its systems. You are a child of the King, and kings don't beg. They decree. I want you to write this now, not just as a comment, but as a declaration of war. I will walk in the authority my Father gave me. Write it. Say it. Let it echo. Let your soul remember. Because there is territory in your life that you've allowed the enemy to occupy, not because you were weak, but because you didn't realize the authority that was already in your hands. But today that changes. Today you stand up. Today you rise up. Today you begin to speak as a son, as a daughter, as one who is no longer asking for permission to be free, but living in the freedom already given. Freedom to forgive, freedom to break generational cycles, freedom to declare healing in the name of Jesus, freedom to speak life where death has ruled, freedom to change the spiritual climate in your house, in your heart, in your future. Do you know what happens when you walk in authority? Atmospheres shift, chains fall, demons flee, hearts awaken, mountains move. Heaven touches earth through your obedience. This is not about hype. This is about alignment. This is about you finally realizing who you are because of who I am. So stop shrinking when fear knocks. Stop silencing your worship when warfare increases. Stop handing your power back to the enemy every time he reminds you of your past. Your past was nailed to the cross. Your present is hidden in Christ, and your future is sealed by my promises. I want to remind you of something my son said. Behold, I have given you authority to trample on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means harm you. That word wasn't a suggestion, it was a commissioning. That's what I'm doing now. I'm commissioning you, not to perform, but to possess, not to impress, but to intercede, not to build platforms, but to tear down strongholds. This world doesn't need more noise. It needs sons and daughters who know who they are in me and who walk like heaven is backing every step they take, because it is. So take your position, use your voice, stand your ground. And remember, when you speak what I've spoken, all of heaven stands behind you. This is not the end of your story. This is the turning point. And the next key I will give you will teach you how to guard your heart and your thoughts, so that the authority you're learning to carry can't be stolen by fear or doubt. You are rising, child. You are walking taller. You are stepping into destiny, not someday, now. Key 9, guard your mind, because the battle is won or lost in your thoughts. My child, I see what no one else sees. I see the battles that rage not in your body, not even in your circumstances, but in your mind. That silent war that wages between what I've promised and what fear keeps whispering. The constant clash between faith and anxiety, hope and discouragement, truth and the lies you've heard for far too long. I want to talk to you now about the place where victory begins, your thoughts. Because you cannot walk in the authority I've given you while letting lies shape your perspective. You cannot claim freedom and still wear the chains of negative thinking. You cannot hear my voice clearly while replaying the voice of your pain. That's why this key matters, because the battlefield is your mind, and the enemy knows it. If he can control your thoughts, he can influence your emotions. If he can influence your emotions, he can limit your actions. And if he can limit your actions, he can delay your destiny. But I didn't create you for confusion. I didn't breathe life into you so that you would live in fear. I gave you a mind, not just to think, but to renew. And I gave you truth, not just to know, but to war with. Let's begin here. You do not have to believe everything you think. Not every thought comes from me. Not every voice is holy. Not every feeling is truth. Some of the things you've been repeating to yourself for years were planted by pain, not planted by purpose. But today, I am revealing them not to condemn you, but to free you. You've believed you're not enough. You've believed you've missed your moment. You've believed you're too broken to be used. You've believed you're alone. You've believed no one cares. But I never said those things about you. I have called you chosen. I have called you redeemed. I have called you strong. I have called you my own. So why, my child, have you let the lies speak louder than my word? Let me show you how this works. When my son walked through the wilderness, he faced the enemy, not with physical force, but with truth. Every lie Satan spoke, Jesus responded with scripture, "It is written." That was not just history, that was a model. That is how you win the war in your mind. Not by arguing with your emotions, not by giving power to your doubts, but by answering every lie with what I have already spoken. When fear says, "You won't make it," you say, "It is written, I will not fear, for God is with me." When shame says, "You're defined by your past," you say, "It is written, I am a new creation in Christ." When doubt says, "God has forgotten me," you say, "It is written, He will never leave me nor forsake me." This is how you guard your mind. This is how you take every thought captive. This is how you tear down strongholds, not with fists, but with faith. I want you to understand something deep in your spirit. Your mind is holy ground, and what you allow to grow there will eventually shape how you live. So if your thoughts are filled with despair, your days will be heavy. If your thoughts are aligned with my promises, your life will begin to reflect my peace. What you meditate on matters. That's why I said, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Because transformation doesn't start in your hands or your habits, it starts in your thinking. So here is my instruction for you now. Guard your mind like a gate. Don't just let any thought walk in. Ask it, did my Father send you? Are you rooted in truth? And if not, cast it down. Don't entertain it, don't rehearse it, don't let it grow. Let my word be your filter, your standard, your sword. I want you to say something now, not just to repeat it, but to live it. Write it in the comments, speak it out loud, let it echo through your heart. I take every thought captive to the truth of God's word. This is not a small step. It is spiritual warfare. Because every lie you remove makes room for truth to grow. Every stronghold you tear down allows my presence to fill that space. Every time you declare my promises over your life, you are reclaiming territory the enemy tried to steal. You are not powerless in this. You are equipped. I have given you the mind of Christ. I have given you my spirit to remind you of all truth. I have given you a sound mind, not a spirit of fear. So speak over yourself what I speak. Say it in the morning when the enemy tries to fill your head with worry. Say it in the night when shame tries to sneak in. Say it in the middle of the day when exhaustion and discouragement try to wear you down. Speak life, speak light, speak truth. Because I am restoring your inner world so that everything around you can come into alignment with heaven's design. This key is not just about resisting bad thoughts. It's about building a new mental environment, one where my word reigns. One where your imagination is sanctified, one where peace becomes the default, not panic, where hope becomes your anchor, not fear. And yes, it takes time. Yes, it takes intention. But every day you choose to renew your mind, you're becoming more like me. And one day soon, you will look back and realize, I don't think the way I used to. I don't react the way I used to. I don't believe the lies I used to. And that moment, that quiet shift, is one of the greatest victories of all. You are not who you were. You are not who fear says you are. You are who I say you are. And it's time your mind agrees with heaven. Stay with me. This transformation is just beginning. The next key I will give you will teach you how to protect your heart so that the healing that's begun in your mind doesn't get stolen by toxic emotions or reopened wounds, because your heart is the wellspring of life, and it must be guarded with wisdom, purity, and grace. But for now, rest in this. You are safe in my truth. You are strong in my spirit, and your mind is becoming a sanctuary for my peace. Key 10. Guard your heart, because everything you do flows from it. My child, listen closely. You have walked far already. You've opened your hands in surrender. You've learned to wait. You've begun to recognize the doors I open, and you're starting to understand the power of your thoughts. But now I want to speak to a deeper place, your heart, because it is the source of all life within you. And unless you guard it, everything else you've built will remain vulnerable. You've been taught to guard your body, your finances, your time, but too often you've left your heart open to anything and everything. And that's where the cracks begin. Not always from the outside, but from within. So hear me, above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. Your heart is not just a symbol of emotion. It is the seat of your desire, the compass of your choices, the place where truth meets feeling. And if it becomes polluted by bitterness, unforgiveness, envy, offense, or fear, then even good intentions can become misaligned. That's why the enemy doesn't always attack your surroundings first. He comes for your heart, subtly, quietly, through disappointment, through broken expectations, through old wounds, through betrayal, through a whisper that says, you'll never heal from this. And if you do not guard it, if you let those things settle and stay, they will take root. They will grow. They will choke out the life that I am trying to awaken in you. So I am inviting you today, not into paranoia, but into wisdom. You are my beloved. You are being prepared for greater things. But greater levels of destiny require greater stewardship of your inner world. Let me ask you something gently but clearly. What is growing in your heart right now? Is it peace or pressure? Is it love or resentment? Is it trust or bitterness? You cannot walk into your future carrying poison from your past. You cannot love freely while holding on to offense. You cannot embrace newness while gripping old heartbreak. And yes, I saw the pain. I saw the betrayal. I saw the moment that changed you. But I never intended for that pain to become your identity. I never intended for that wound to harden your heart. That is why today I'm knocking again, not on the door of your circumstances, but on the door of your heart. Will you let me in? Let me bring healing to the place you've hidden. Let me shine light on what you've buried. Let me soften what the world tried to make hard. I want to teach you how to guard your heart, not with walls, but with truth, not with fear, but with faith, not by closing yourself off, but by rooting yourself deeply in me. Because the best protection for your heart is not isolation, it is saturation in my presence. The more you let me fill you, the less space there is for anything that doesn't belong. The more you abide in my word, the quicker you'll recognize what's out of alignment. The more you worship, even when it hurts, the more your heart becomes tender again. Do you remember Hannah? She carried deep sorrow, years of disappointment, words from others that pierced her soul. But when she brought her pain to me, not to the crowd, not to her enemies, not even to the ones who misunderstood her, I met her there, in the temple, in the tears, in the ache, and I gave her more than a child. I gave her peace, I gave her purpose, I gave her a new heart posture, one that trusted me even when she didn't understand my timing. I want to do the same for you. You've been guarding your dreams. Now it's time to guard your heart. I want you to say something out loud today, to me and to your soul. Write it if you're ready. I will guard my heart, because it is where God speaks to me. Let that sink deep. Because the enemy doesn't fear your potential, he fears your purity. A pure heart hears me clearly. A pure heart loves freely. A pure heart obeys quickly. A pure heart isn't perfect, but it's pliable. It lets me shape it. It lets me correct it. It lets me heal it. And that is where the true power flows from. So guard it. Be careful what you meditate on. Be cautious about what you consume. Protect your peace from people who only want access to your vulnerability, not your value. Say no to conversations that don't edify your spirit. Say yes to silence when the noise of this world grows too loud. Forgive quickly, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve to be free. I know you've been hurt. I know your heart has been through war. But I am the healer of the broken-hearted. I bind up every wound. I don't just repair hearts, I renew them. And that is what I'm doing in you now. You've wondered if your heart can ever trust again. You've wondered if the passion you once had can return. You've wondered if it's safe to hope again. And I say to you, yes. Because hope that is anchored in me will never be wasted. Because the dreams I've placed in your heart were planted for a reason. Because your softness is not weakness, it is sacred. And from that sacred heart, I will birth compassion, revelation, and strength. So don't let bitterness stay another day. Don't let fear sit in the corner of your soul like it belongs there. Don't let disappointment become your default. Your heart is holy ground, and I will dwell there if you'll guard it as such. This key will not only protect you from future pain, it will preserve the joy I'm restoring in you. Because the next part of your journey requires an open heart, not a wounded one. And the next key I will give you will teach you how to walk in joy even before you see the outcome. How to live from a place of freedom, not performance. How to rejoice, not because everything is perfect, but because I am present. But for now, breathe. You are doing well. You are healing. You are growing. And I am so proud of you. Key 11, choose joy, not because life is perfect, but because I am present. My child, you've carried so much. You've endured seasons that were heavier than your strength, moments that bent your knees, days where the smile on your face didn't match the weight on your soul. I've seen it all, the hidden tears, the silent prayers, the aching questions, and through it all, I've been near, closer than your breath, watching, holding, waiting, not for you to perform, but to receive. And today, I want to offer you something that this world cannot give, and no storm can take away. I want to give you joy, not the temporary kind that rises and falls with your circumstances, not the kind that disappears the moment life becomes unpredictable. I want to give you the kind of joy that becomes your strength, the kind that carries you through fire, through wilderness, through waiting. The kind of joy that flows from knowing me, not understanding everything, but trusting that I am with you in everything, because joy isn't a reaction. Joy is a decision, a posture, a spiritual weapon, and it is time for you to start wielding it. You've been asking for breakthrough. You've been asking for peace. But what if I told you that joy is the door? That joy opens the atmosphere for miracles. That joy, chosen intentionally, even in sorrow, shakes the foundations of fear. Do you remember Paul and Silas? Chained, beaten, bleeding in a prison cell. no reason to rejoice by earthly standards, and yet they sang, not because the chains had fallen, they hadn't, not because the doors were open, they weren't, but because they knew I was there. Because worship is not about location, it's about revelation, and as they praised me, heaven moved, chains broke, doors opened. Not just for them, but for everyone around them. That is the power of joy, chosen, not circumstantial, declared in the darkness. And that is what I want to stir in you now. You don't need to feel it before you live it. Joy is not a feeling that comes after the miracle. It's a decision that prepares the ground for it. You can choose it when your bank account is low, when the diagnosis isn't what you hoped, when the relationship feels fractured, when you don't know what's coming next. Joy says, even here I trust you. Even now I praise you. Even if nothing changes, I know you are good. That kind of joy breaks chains. That kind of joy releases favor. That kind of joy makes the enemy nervous, because he doesn't know what to do with someone who smiles through struggle, who lifts hands in worship when it would be easier to complain, who walks in gratitude when they have every reason to grumble. You are that person. You're becoming that vessel. And today I want you to take a step, a bold one. I want you to speak joy into your atmosphere. Even now, even before this part ends, write these words with faith. I choose joy, because God is with me. Let your heart echo it. Let your mind come into agreement with it. Because when you declare joy, you are aligning your spirit with heaven's rhythm. You see, joy isn't denial of pain. It's the refusal to let pain define you. Joy doesn't mean everything is right, as it means you know the one who is righteous. Joy isn't pretending life is easy. It's believing that I am greater than anything life throws at you. So today, I want to shift something in your soul. I want to take the heavy garment you've been wearing, the one made of worry, sadness, despair, and wrap you in a new robe, the garment of praise, the covering of joy, not synthetic, not temporary, supernatural joy, straight from my heart to yours. Let me speak this over you now. You are not fragile. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not forgotten. You are a vessel of joy. You are made to shine. You are chosen to rejoice. And even in the storm, you are allowed to laugh again. I want you to find moments of delight, not because life is perfect, but because my goodness surrounds you in ways you've forgotten to notice. The warmth of the sun, the breath in your lungs, the small answered prayer, the friend who didn't give up on you, the quiet whisper that says, I'm still here. Let those little lights guide you back to me. Let gratitude be the gateway to joy. Let praise rise before the provision. That is how you stay anchored when everything else feels unstable. And here is what joy does that few things can. It keeps your heart soft. In a world that grows cold, in a life filled with disappointment, joy keeps you from becoming hardened. Joy keeps your soul alive. Joy protects your innocence. Joy makes space for hope again. Joy, chosen joy, makes your heart a dwelling place for my presence. So what do you do when joy feels far? You fight for it. You don't chase feelings, you plant faith. You speak it out loud, even if your voice shakes. You look for my fingerprints in the ordinary. You remember the testimonies. You count your blessings one by one until your soul remembers how far we've come together. And you praise, even quietly, even weakly, even when your lips are trembling and your eyes are full of tears. Because every note of worship, however broken, is heard in heaven, and it builds a throne for my presence to dwell. You don't have to do this alone. Let me remind you that joy isn't just something I give. Joy is who I am. The joy of the Lord is your strength, because I am your strength. I never run dry. I never grow tired. I never leave. And my joy is not based on your performance. It is anchored in my presence. That's why no one can take it from you. That's why the enemy hates it. That's why you must protect it, not with force, but with focus. Stay in my word. Speak life. Worship freely. Choose gratitude over complaining. Choose laughter over gloom. Choose my presence over pressure, and you will see how joy begins to rise again, not like a flash, but like a steady fire. Quiet, sure, powerful. You are not forgotten. You are not disqualified from joy, and you are not too far gone to rejoice again. There is a new season coming. But before it arrives in full, I want you to taste joy now, right here, where nothing is certain except this: I am with you, and I am enough. The next key I want to give you will teach you how to recognize my voice clearly, how to distinguish between your thoughts, your feelings, and my divine whisper, because joy opens the ears of the Spirit. And where there is joy, there is clarity. But for now, rest in this. You are allowed to rejoice. You are created to radiate. And your laughter is a sound that shakes the darkness. Key 12, you can hear my voice, even when life is loud. My child, I know how noisy this world has become for you. I know how many voices pull at your attention. Some loud, some subtle, all demanding your energy, your focus, your faith. You've wondered if you're missing something. You've asked me, quietly and honestly, God, am I still hearing you? And now I want to answer you, not with mystery, but with assurance. Yes, you can hear me, and I have never stopped speaking. I don't play games with your heart. I don't hide myself from those who truly seek me. My voice hasn't gone silent. It has only grown still, because I don't shout over chaos. I whisper into stillness. You've learned to speak to me in prayer. Now I want to teach you how to listen. You've asked me for direction, wisdom, comfort, but more than that, your soul has been longing for my whisper, and I want you to know this: you were created to hear me. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be a prophet. You don't need to have a long spiritual resume. You need only be available. I speak in many ways, through scripture, through the nudging of the Holy Spirit, through dreams, through peace, through the words of others, through silence. But I never speak in confusion. My voice is marked by peace, even when it convicts. It is always loving, even when it corrects. Let's begin with my word. It is not an ancient book full of history. It is alive. Every time you read it with an open heart, I speak through it. That verse that seems to leap off the page, that phrase that keeps coming back to you, that truth that stirs your spirit when you read it again, that is me. I am the author, and I am still speaking between the lines. When your mind is racing, when the noise is overwhelming, open my word, not to check a box, but to meet me there. And when you don't have words of your own, I will lend you mine. Then there is the whisper of my spirit, that quiet inner knowing. You've felt it before, that sudden pause that protected you, that unexplained peace in a storm, that clarity that came when logic said otherwise. That's not intuition, that's communion. My spirit doesn't confuse or condemn. He reminds you of who I am. He brings to mind what I've already spoken. He guides you gently but firmly into truth. You've said, I don't know if it's you or just my thoughts. But my child, when your thoughts are rooted in my word and your heart is yielded, my voice becomes clearer. You'll know it's me because it will align with Scripture, never contradict it. It will produce peace, not panic. It will draw you closer to me, not deeper into fear or pride. It will be consistent, not chaotic. It will sometimes challenge you, but always in love. When you ask, "Is this you, Lord?" I'm not offended. I'm honored. Because that question means you care enough to follow only my voice. And if you wait for me in stillness, I will confirm what I speak, not always immediately, but faithfully. There is something else I want to tell you. You won't always hear me in the spectacular. Sometimes you'll find me in the quiet and ordinary. Remember Elijah? He expected me in the wind, the earthquake, the fire, but I came in a gentle whisper. Why? Because I don't need noise to prove my presence, and I don't need a stage to draw near to your heart. I speak in your kitchen while you wash dishes. I speak while you drive. I speak while you lie awake in the dark. I speak while you're in the middle of a storm. Not just when it passes, but to hear me, you must protect your attention. The world has made noise normal. It has taught you to scroll and scroll, never pausing long enough to notice me. But I am not in the scroll. I am in the stillness. You must create space. You must silence lesser voices so you can hear the eternal one. You must prioritize my presence, not just on Sunday, not just in crisis, but daily. Because the more you know me, the easier it becomes to recognize me. A child knows the voice of a loving father. Not because the father shouts, but because the child has heard it enough to remember. That is what I want for you. I want you to know my voice so well that when fear tries to speak, you silence it with confidence. When the enemy lies, you call it out with clarity. When doubt rises, you return to what I already said. I want you to write this today, not for me, but for your heart to remember. I was created to hear the voice of my Father. Say it aloud. Say it until every lie that told you otherwise disappears, because this is your inheritance, and there is more. I'm not just teaching you to hear me for yourself. I'm preparing you to be a voice for others, to share what I whisper in the quiet so it can echo into their chaos. You are becoming a vessel, not just of faith, but of discernment. I will begin to give you wisdom for situations you didn't study for. I will give you words for others that come from a place of compassion and truth. I will speak through your silence, through your actions, through your presence, but before you can carry my word to others, you must know how to receive it for yourself. That's what this key is about, so don't rush it. Be still. I'm not hiding from you. I've been speaking since the beginning, from the garden to the wilderness, from mountaintops to prison cells, from scrolls to screens. And I will keep speaking as long as your heart is listening. You don't need more signs. You need more stillness, and I promise you I will meet you there. The next key I want to give you will show you how to walk with me consistently, not just during spiritual highs, but through ordinary days. How to make your life a dwelling place, not just a destination for my presence. But for now, I want you to pause, close your eyes, and say this one simple prayer. Speak, Lord. Your servant is listening. And then just wait, because I am speaking. Key 13, walk with me daily, not just when you feel me, but because you know me. My child, you have learned to surrender. You've learned to wait. You've learned to hear my voice and speak with authority. But now I want to show you something even more vital. Something simple yet powerful enough to change everything. I want to walk with you daily, not just in the moments when you feel me near, not only when you're desperate, broken, or seeking answers. Not only when worship swells or the room is filled with tears. I want to walk with you in the ordinary, in your quiet mornings, in your errands, in your struggles, and in your joy. Because I am not a God of occasional moments, I am a God of constant presence. I created you for daily relationship, not occasional visitation. You were never meant to survive on just Sunday services or spiritual highs. You were made to abide, to live, breathe, and move with me, moment by moment, breath by breath. This is what I had in the garden. When I formed Adam, I didn't wait for him to come find me. I walked with him, in the cool of the day, in the rhythm of trust. There was no separation, no striving, only presence. And that's what I want to restore. The blood of my Son didn't just make you clean, it made you welcome in my presence. And not just sometimes, always. You don't need to wait for a worship song to feel close to me. You don't need a perfect prayer. You don't need to feel spiritual enough. You just need to turn your heart toward me again and again, because the truth is, I'm already there. I've never left. You've asked me before, Lord, where are you? And my answer always is this: right here, still walking, still waiting, still loving you even when you're distracted. I know life pulls you in 1,000 directions, but what I want is simple. Your attention. I don't need hours of elaborate ritual. I need your heart. A whisper. A thought. A moment of awareness. That's where relationship lives, not just in revelation, but in rhythm. Let me be your rhythm. When you wake up, talk to me. Before you check your phone, check your spirit. When anxiety comes, don't push through it alone. Invite me in. When you feel weak, and ask for my strength. When you feel joy, celebrate with me. When you feel numb, sit with me. You don't need to pretend with me. I'm not interested in performance. I'm invested in presence. Do you remember Enoch? Scripture doesn't say much about him, only this: he walked with God, and then he was no more because God took him. That was enough. Not a list of miracles, not a spotlight ministry, just a walk, so deep, so daily, so steady, that it became the very definition of his life. I want that for you. I want to be in your ordinary, in your coffee sips and your silent car rides, in your parenting, in your friendships, in your planning, in your laughing, in your weeping. You've thought sometimes that I only show up for the big moments. But what if I told you that your daily consistency is the most powerful expression of your faith? When you choose to pray even when you don't feel anything, when you open the Bible even when it doesn't feel revelatory, when you whisper, I trust you, even when the storm hasn't passed, that is faith, that is love, that is maturity. And those are the moments where your roots grow deepest. You may not feel it every time. That's okay. Love isn't about emotion, it's about devotion. I want to help you build a daily rhythm of walking with me that nothing can shake. Not distraction, not tiredness, not disappointment. Because when you walk with me every day, your heart becomes stronger. You begin to recognize my hand in the small things. You start to notice how peace becomes your normal. You become less reactive, more rooted, less rushed, more present. You live less in your head and more in my spirit. And yes, the enemy will try to interrupt your rhythm. He'll make you believe that if you skip a day, you've failed. That if you don't feel anything, it's not worth it. That if your prayers are short or distracted, I won't hear. But those are lies. I am not looking for performance. I'm looking for persistence. Come to me as you are, tired, scattered, joyful, frustrated. Just come, and I will meet you every time. Say this out loud right now, or write it in the comments with faith. I will walk with God daily, not by feelings but by faith. Let it sink in, because I'm not going anywhere. I will never walk away. And if you'll take one step toward me each day, you'll find that I've already been walking toward you. You don't need to climb a ladder to reach me. You just need to make space in your heart, again and again and again. I'm not waiting for you to figure everything out. I'm waiting for you to open your eyes and realize I've already joined you on the journey. The daily walk is where the deepest transformation happens. Not in lightning flashes, but in slow, steady obedience. And one day you'll realize, without trying to be spectacular, you became solid. You became wise, you became strong, you became joyful, you became a carrier of my presence because you learned to walk with me every day. The next key I will give you will show you how to love others from the overflow of this daily walk, how to extend my compassion without burning out, how to set boundaries without guilt, how to lead without pride, and how to serve without losing your peace. But for now, just walk. One step today, another tomorrow. Let's keep going together. Key 14. Love others from the overflow, not from your emptiness. My beloved child, I see how deeply you care, how you carry the weight of others, how your heart breaks when someone else is hurting. I've watched you try to be strong for everyone, answering every call, holding every hand, pouring yourself out, even when your own soul felt dry. You were never meant to carry the world on your shoulders. That burden belongs to me. You were never meant to fix everyone. You were meant to love, yes, but not at the cost of losing your own peace. I want to teach you now how to love in the way I do, freely, fully, but wisely. Because the world needs your compassion, but it also needs your wholeness. You see, love is not measured by how much you suffer for others. Love is measured by how much of me flows through you without replacing me with them. Somewhere along the way, you began to believe that being empty was spiritual, that burnout was noble, that exhaustion meant obedience. But listen to me. I never asked you to serve from a dry well. I asked you to abide in me, to stay connected to the source. The world says, give until there's nothing left. I say, come to me first, and I will give you so much it will overflow. That's how my son lived. He fed the multitudes, healed the sick, raised the dead, and yet he withdrew often to pray, to rest, to be alone with me. Why? Because even Jesus, in his perfect obedience, showed you the rhythm of divine love. Receive first, then give. You cannot give what you haven't received. So if you're feeling empty, resentful, or worn thin, don't shame yourself. Return to me, let me refill you. Because real love, my love, is not drained by giving. It flows from the overflow. I want you to think of your heart like a cup. Every day life tips it. People reach in, emotions rise, demands come. And if you're not careful, you begin pouring from the last drop at the bottom, scraping, stretching, straining. But when you start your day with me, when you come to me in your stillness, when you let me fill you with peace, truth, joy, clarity, your cup fills. And then what you give, your words, your service, your presence, it comes not from strain, but from abundance. You are not called to be everyone's solution. You are called to be my vessel. And vessels must be cared for, protected, refilled, respected. Loving others well does not mean letting go of boundaries. Jesus healed many, but he didn't chase everyone. He taught the crowds, but he gave his time to the few who walked closely. He served, but he also slept. He wept with others, but he did not allow their emotional storms to sink his ship. And I want you to love like that. Let me say this clearly, you can love people and still say no. You can serve without being used. You can listen without carrying. You can forgive without returning to toxicity. You can grieve with others without drowning in their sorrow. Your capacity to love does not depend on how much pain you endure for others. It depends on how much time you spend with me, because I am love. I am the well that never runs dry. I am the peace that protects your empathy from becoming your exhaustion. I am the light that helps you see people clearly, not just emotionally, but spiritually. You don't have to save anyone. That's my job. Your job is to be faithful, to be kind, to be present, to be discerning. Some will receive it, some will reject it, some will take what you give and leave without thanks, some will stay and grow, but none of it defines your worth. Your identity is not in how people respond to your love. It is in how you remain rooted in mine. I want you to write this now if you're ready to declare it. I will love others from the overflow of God's presence in me. Let that be your truth. Let it guide your days. And if you ever feel your cup running low, stop and return. I'm not asking you to be perfect in this. I'm asking you to be present with me so I can refill you again and again. Let's make a promise together, a holy rhythm. You will stop rescuing people I never asked you to carry. You will stop confusing exhaustion with obedience. You will stop defining love by how much you can endure, and instead define it by how well you remain connected to me. You will love deeply, freely, but wisely. Because this is how your light shines in darkness, not by burning yourself out, but by being consistently full of my spirit. And yes, there will be moments when love costs you, moments when it hurts, moments when you give more than you receive. But when you love from the overflow, even those moments don't leave you empty, because you know where to return. You know who fills you, you know who carries you, and that is what makes love sustainable. So walk into this next season with a full heart. A guarded heart, a generous heart, a wise heart. There's one more key I want to give you, and it might be the one your soul has needed most. It's the key of rest, not sleep, but real spiritual rest. The kind of rest that heals what striving can't. The kind of rest that says, it is finished, I don't have to prove anything, I belong to my Father. But before we go there, just breathe. You are loved, you are being refilled, and you are being transformed, not by trying harder, but by staying closer. Key 15. Rest in me. You don't have to earn what I've already given. My child, this is where I've been leading you all along, through every step, every tear, every victory, every valley, to this place, rest. Not sleep, not escape, not avoidance, but holy, soul-deep, spirit-led rest. The kind of rest that isn't just about stopping what you're doing, but finally releasing what you've been carrying. The kind of rest that lets you breathe again, not because the storm has passed, but because you've discovered that you're safe even in the middle of it. You've done a lot of striving, you've fought to be enough, you've worried about falling short, you've tried to hold everything together for everyone. You've served me with your hands, now I'm inviting you to rest in me with your heart, because you don't need to keep proving yourself. You don't need to earn what I already gave. You don't need to run to stay close to me. I'm right here. You've asked me, what else do you want from me, Lord? And I'm answering now, not with a burden, but with a blessing. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. That was not a suggestion. That was not for someone else. That was my promise to you. Rest is not weakness. It's trust. Rest is what happens when you finally believe me, when you believe that I love you as you are, when you believe that I'm not disappointed in you, when you believe that your identity is not found in your performance, but in your position as my child. You are already loved, already chosen, already covered, already mine. I want you to feel the weight of that, not as pressure, but as peace. The world pushes you to do more, be more, give more. But I am not the voice of hustle. I am the voice that says, be still and know that I am God. You've carried stress like it was your responsibility. You've worn pressure like armor. You've thought that your rest would come after the work was done. But I say, rest is the beginning. When you rest, you return to truth. When you rest, your spirit realigns. When you rest, I remind you of what's real. You are not your results. You are not your reputation. You are not your mistakes. You are not your best days or your worst moments. You are mine, and I delight in you. Let me be your Sabbath, not just one day a week, but a place of continual abiding. Let me be your peace in the noise. Let me be the anchor when life moves fast. Let me be your enough, so you can stop trying to earn what I've already freely given. I want you to say this with your heart today. Whisper it, write it, let it root into your soul. I will rest in God because I am already loved. This is the posture of the mature. This is the gateway to freedom. Even my son rested. He slept through storms. He walked away from crowds. He spent time in silence, not to disconnect, but to reconnect with me. You must learn this rhythm too, because the journey ahead will require strength, and strength flows from rest, not striving. You are allowed to slow down. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to be still. You are allowed to be human, because I am God, and I do not need you to carry what only I can. What happens when you finally rest? You begin to receive. You hear me more clearly. You begin to see your life not through urgency, but through eternity. You stop rushing toward outcomes and start living present in my presence. You begin to pour from fullness, not fatigue. And most of all, you start to enjoy me again. Not just serve me, not just pray to me, not just work for me, but truly enjoy me as a father who delights in you. This is what I've wanted all along. Not your perfection, not your spiritual resume. You, your attention, your trust, your friendship. So come, sit at my feet again, not to learn something new, not to fix something broken, just to be. That's where rest lives. You don't have to understand the future to enjoy the moment. You don't have to control what's coming to feel peace. You just have to trust who walks with you. I am not rushing you. I'm not comparing your pace to anyone else's. I'm not tallying your flaws. I'm just here, and I'm staying. So close your eyes for a moment now and take a deep breath. Release the pressure. Let go of the pace. Lay down your performance. Let me fill you. Again and again and again. This is how you'll finish strong, not by striving harder, but by staying closer. This is how you'll carry everything I've given you, not with clenched fists, but with open hands and a rested soul. You've made it to the end of this journey, but this is not the end. This is the beginning of a new way of living. Not from lack, but from love. Not from fear, but from faith. Not from stress, but from spirit. I have planted eternal truths in your heart through these 15 keys. Let them grow now. Let them take root. Let them become part of you. Not just something you remember, but something you live. And never forget, I am with you, always. So walk forward, not as someone trying to become something, but as someone who has finally remembered who they already are. My beloved, my reflection, my dwelling place. Say amen in the comments if this journey has touched your heart. And remember, this is not the end. It is a doorway to everything I've been waiting to release in your life. Now go, rested, loved, and ready. I'm walking with you, always.